The Earth stage, as we've known it, has always been a direct expression of the collective inner that's played out in an outer drama to inform us of the shadow aspects that lie within, which require observation, healing, and reintegration. We've all felt monstrosities within our being, and to eliminate these monstrosities, we have been bestowed with divine tools to heal ourselves, and thus piece together our fragmentation to resurrect the true self. But in order to do this, it's important right now to recognize where our energies are being funneled, and how these energies create consent to different experiences. Our energetic consent towards narratives of harm validates this so-called harm, and thus we observe the effect of our consent in the form of something tyrannical in the outer. But it is always the inner shadows we are observing, which are cast into containers of the external, creating a perception of objective suffering or harm or tyranny or something like that. To say in another way, we can easily justify our suffering by ignoring what is happening inside of us and clinging to a mode of victimization through adhering to these narratives of harm. In this context, the eye doesn't see, the mind perceives and translates that perception into a sensory experience. Whether real or imagined, there is always a blurring of lines between what you're imagining and what actually is. That is a secret. To devalue the screams and shouts of the outer, we must allow ourselves to value the heart's space, recognizing that only the heart is where true creation emerges from and converges into. We are in the midst of an ascension. Everything right now is being pushed through a bottleneck in time until time itself breaks. This compression is creating more dire circumstances on the Earth stage and is only allowing the most harmonious outcomes. The visible light spectrum which we've been tethered to only shows us the result of the energy being pushed out of the collective mind, and therefore we find ourselves in an ever denser realm of activity, interrelationship, and interconnectivity. But the crazier the world becomes, the closer we are to the merging of spirit and matter. Nobody said this merging would be easy or comfortable. The worldwide connection brought about by technologies, the dissolution of political, social, gender, and class boundaries of all sorts, all societal upheaval, it's all a manifestation of this compression. They aren't simply the result of earthly ongoings, but the product of the consolidation of divine energies from behind the veil. As above, so below. Spirit descends into matter, so what we observe is just the translation of spirit into perceptible forms and dramas. The same way a war within the spirit realms occur, the same way a war within you occurs, the same way a war within matter occurs. It's all interrelated. Right now, many are interpreting these energy shifts and resulting earthly ongoings as a threat, as something to fear, while others are embracing the demise of the duality illusion. If this transition frightens some, they will see death and will end up degrading. Because what we perceive becomes reality, as within so without. But if this transition enlivens some, they will see life and will end up renewed. Because if we fear change, we fear death. Change, death, and rebirth are therefore tied together. The fear of death is the fear of life, and the fear of change is fearing life. And because you are life expressing itself, fear of change is the fear of yourself, and love is a poison to those who fear death. The earth is the heart. You've been living on yourself. Everything out there, water, food, shelter, air, sunlight, etc. These are all different harmonic expressions of you. Everything is a fractal of your being, and you are a fractal of everything else. Each moment contains the entire cosmos within it. The cosmic egg we live in is an encapsulated plasmoid structure with energy flowing through the center, which fluctuates based on the heart space of the living souls. The more stable we are within our hearts, or rather, the more we unlock the gifts of the infinite within the finite, the more unstable 3D becomes, the more unstable the toroidal field around the center energy becomes. No longer can we split apart ourselves and what we observe if we are to experience ascension. You've been walking around your own mind, but the mind can fool itself when we justify suffering in place of coherence. In this 3D playground, we've been told that something can only be a part of something else if the parts are physically attached or contractually related, via conscious agreement or a lineage or something. But you contain the all, without the all containing you. Therefore, you can choose to consent to limitation. But that doesn't change that deep within there will always be a spark that begs for full integration, expansion. Our consciousness is so powerful that we bend the fabric of space and time regularly without realizing it. This leads us to the ideas of déjà vu, of timeline jumping, of strange coincidences and synchronicities that seem to fly in the face of conventional science and biology. The visible light spectrum deceives us into seeing a linear-based reality. So you create your own deceptions within this veil, but you also reveal your own revelations. Self-deception, however, has always been a tool for us. You transmute that which lies at the core of your own inversion. I mean, who else would? What seems like degradation can always be flipped around into rejuvenation, as the Hermetic law of opposites states. Therefore, the more dire things seem in the outer, the more potential there is to flip that around and realize unity, ascension, expansion. If one does not develop themselves through experience, which is both given and searched for simultaneously, then one becomes subject to the subconscious and unconscious weight that prevented one from developing. Hence, the fear of death is the fear of life. The divine will lie and deceive you to get to the most harmonious outcomes. This is something very few religions speak of. Synchronicities can lead us to what feels like dead ends, but those dead ends have secret passageways. Peer into the void of chaos and let it consume you. That's what I say, just to prove to yourself that nothing can kill you. As our awareness of self increases, our awareness of what is conjured without attaching to an outcome. Remember, all outcomes are the result of energetic input. The ultimate source of everything resides in you and is you simultaneously. And because the ultimate is everything and nothing all at once, you hold the keys to the Hyperborean origin point, where past and future converge, where light and dark blend, where masculine and feminine meet.
The waters from above, the waters from below, merge into the zero, resurrect the hero, the wings were set to go. The oceans of your love, the ether of the dove, merge into living blood, resurrect Aurora, Aurora.
But let us not be confused. Your fate and destination is not only predetermined, it's also movable. We've spoken of this paradox before and must accept it, that the universe pushes you in directions unbeknownst to you, but also you push the universe in directions unbeknownst to it. A particular state of consciousness is achieved through making that state recognizable in you. Everything already exists in some form or plane, waiting to be magnified within your awareness. So the underlying message is solve yourself and take a fierce stance in your own awakening. Take it seriously, but equally recognize the divine comedy in that seriousness. Why so serious? The Joker asks. When this paradox and all paradoxes are understood, we are reborn. Keep up the great work.
I've been searching for this whole time for the lantern of true might. The wings are steadily opening, and the two snakes they climb. Demigod inside a body, I feel the gates opening from the maze. How did I get inside the beast's big red eyes? A beautiful mind with a terrible climb. I peel my face just to expose and make. I peel my face just to erase. I peel this mask just to ask, when am I gonna get my Caduceus? There's nothing wrong unless you fight with yourself. Sophia, come back, come right, can't open up, say it loud, open up, say it oh, Sophia, stop that, come right back, open up, say it loud, open up, say it say it Highland, said a thing just to confide in, a never-ending color, spiraling, spiraling, spiraling into me. Oh, ripened fruits of the same skin, an ever-present lover, so spiraling, spiraling, come and wander with me. Oh, when we're crisp and we're calm, we can see what we're not. Such a storm, such a suck, and we see what we are. What is dread and blind? What a flame and light. Sophia, come and me get more. Stir it up, stir it up. What a maze. just to ask, when am I gonna get my Caduceus?